I remember back in 2018, there was just a group of girls laughing behind me as I was walking out the corridor. And I overhear them, and shit, they're talking about me. I hear them say, "Oh shit, Richard, you look so skinny. You look like a twig, like I could like snap you in half. You think I could probably beat you in a fight, really?" And looking back, shit, bro, it was probably true. I used to be so skinny. I used to have terrible posture. I used to look so shriveled up. I used to have no confidence in my body. I remember not liking my body at all until I started to go to the gym. So when I went to the gym, I actually struggled to bulk a little bit at the start. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really gain much weight. I was just eating, right? I was just eating my normal food. So like, sure, I made some gains. Maybe a bit of it was just puberty, to be honest. But I just didn't really make any insane gains or anything, right? But that was until I started to learn how to actually bulk. Because a lot of you skinny motherfuckers, they say like, "Oh yeah, bro, I can't gain weight, guys. I just can't do this." And like, I look at their lunches, I look at their food, and they eat half of what I do. And it's like, no shit, bro. Of course you can't bulk. Of course you're struggling to gain weight because you're not eating enough. You're literally just not eating enough. And so here's everything you can do to actually get the calories in, to actually get the food in, to grow your body so you can build like this aesthetic as fuck physique. How you can transform from that skinny, small little kid, skinny, small Asian kid into jacked as fuck and confident in his body. So the first thing is mindset, right? We need to think about mindset because I think a lot of people, they're scared to actually bulk because they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get fat, bro. Oh yeah, I don't want to get too big, bro." Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up before I hear you tell you that. First off, that's low ambition as hell. "Oh yeah, I don't want to get too good grades. I don't want to make too much money. I don't want to be too successful," right? Like, that's what you sound like. But secondly, I think a lot of skinny guys, even like me at the start, right? We're scared about getting a little bit of fat, right? Which is going to happen when you're on a bulk. You're going to get a little bit of fat on the top, right? You're going to get a bit of fat. And you're just going to be like, "Oh no, I'm fat now. I'm going to get on a cut. Oh, I'm fat now. I got to make sure I still have abs." Bro, you can't make progress if you're not bulking, if you're not actively gaining weight. And look, even if you do the leanest of bulks, you're still gonna end up with a little bit of belly fat. You're still not gonna have perfect abs. I don't have perfect abs right now because I'm on a bulk right now. And that's okay, right? There's a lot of guys that they go through cycles, they go to the gym for a little bit and they're like, "Oh yeah, I made some muscle." And they're like, "Oh yeah, bro, I'm gonna cut now." I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? You literally just started. You started like 3 months ago and like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna cut, bro." And these guys are like 15 kgs lighter than me. I'm like, why would you cut? Why would you do that? I think a lot of this just comes down to really short-term thinking. You want to look good now. You want to look good now, and then you don't want to. You want to look good now for the sacrifice of the long-term progress of building the muscle that you want, of building the kind of size and physique that you want. Because if you do the long-term bulk, you will look kind of a bit fatter you will look a bit fatter compared to what you were before. You will gain a bit of fat. That's completely natural, right? Especially even if you eat a healthy, clean diet, you will still gain a bit of fat. But a lot of guys, they're like, "Oh bro, oh fuck, I'm getting too fat. I'm getting a little bit too fat." And so they cut and then they basically lose a lot of their progress that they made. I genuinely believe that for the first like 2 years, right? For the first 2 years, I don't think you should actually cut at all. At least first 2 or 3 years. I remember in my first couple of years of going to the gym, the only time I ever really went on like a cut was just because like I wasn't eating enough. I was traveling, I was outside all the time. I was, back in Hong Kong. I was just like not eating enough in general. And sure, that gave me nice abs. That gave me aesthetic physiques. That gave me really nice veins, right? But looking back, right, like that was a great period, but that did slump my progress for a couple of months. I didn't make any progress during that time. I wasn't eating enough, so I wasn't eating enough, so I was still kind of losing weight. I dropped down to 80 kgs because of that. So I slowed down my progress for a couple of months, for 6 months, just because I was overseas. But if I kept on going on my light bulk, on my, slow and steady bulk over time, then I probably would have made a lot more progress in my lifts overall. So the main point is you need to think longer term. Building muscle, going to the gym, it is a long-term process. You gotta think in terms of years at this point, right? And so don't go chasing this random cut because you feel like you're slightly more chubby now, whatever, right? Sure, you can go on a mini cut if you feel like you're really overweight, you've eaten way too much unhealthy food, sure. But don't, think about the long term, right? Think about the long term. It kind of evens out in the end, right? And especially if you're eating actually decently healthy food, you're still going to gain weight. But you're never going to get too fat. You're never going to get overweight, right? You're probably not even going to lose your abs if you eat stuff like the stuff that your mum might make, or stuff that, is pretty healthy and unprocessed, right? Stuff that's not packed with refined sugar, refined carbohydrates. Stuff like that, which is a lot healthier. How do I actually bulk? How do I actually gain weight? That's the real question that so many guys have talked to me about, have asked me about. And I'll distill everything in here. Just a reminder, this is all part of the protocol in my course below. But bulking itself, there are a couple of levels to it, right? But level 1 is actually very, very simple. And there's a lot of people they're basically stuck at level 0, and level 0 is just you're not eating enough, right? You're just not eating enough calories. And so if you're not gaining weight, you're not progressing in your lifts, if you're not lifting heavier, if you take some progress photos and you feel like you look the same, it's just because you're not eating enough, right? That's level 0. Level 1 is intuitive eating, which was what I did for a long time, especially during the start of my journey. What I did was I did a couple of these techniques to really stuff myself, right? Because it's very simple, especially a lot of skinny guys, they get full really quickly. So you get full, you drink a lot of water, and then you say, oh yeah, bro, I'm so full. I eat 3,000 calories. I eat 50,000 calories. I'm so full. But they can't even finish their meals, right? What the fuck, right? This idea that I implemented was eating till failure, right? You've heard about training till failure, right? Training until you literally physically can't, right? You should start to implement more when you're eating. Eating till failure, right? So what you did, so you eat until you're full, right? But then we can also implement the idea of training past failure. Eating past failure, right? So a lot of people, they stop there. They get full. They're, oh, I'm full. Oh, I ate 50,000 calories, guys. I ate 200,000 calories, guys. Why am I not gaining any weight? You eat until you're full, and then you eat a little bit more. You just eat a little bit more. Have some more food after that, right? You just physically stuff yourself with a bit more. And a lot of this just comes down to psychology, right? There are so many little small psychological tricks that you can do to make it a lot easier to stuff down food. This is all the stuff that's like the opposite of weight loss advice. It's quite funny actually. But what you can do is just create larger portions, right? So maybe let's say for my Asian guys, let's say you eat like Chinese style, right? Literally just create more dishes, create more food. Put more food on the table and you'll eat more of it. Have more varieties of food. Especially if you live with your parents, if you live with your mom, right? Like back then my mom would make so much food, piles of fucking food. And it's just easy. It's like, oh yeah, I want to try this. I want to try this one. Oh yeah, I want to have a good proportion of each one. So you don't get bored of it as well. Sometimes you might just feel full because you get bored of the meal and because your brain is like, oh yeah, that's a 17th chicken nugget. It's like, It's like, I'm kind of full, I'm kind of bored, right? But having a lot of variety, having big portion sizes so that you feel like you need to eat a bit more, right? Having like big bowls of rice. These are the small things that will subtly change your psychology to eat. What I see a lot of people do that they don't do properly is they drink water. So if you're eating your food, don't drink water. It's really simple as that, right? So Don't fill your stomach with a lot of liquids, with a lot of liquid food, right? That will make you feel full very fast. So just simply don't drink water. Stuff it all down now, and then drink some water. This is the way that I was able to do what I like to call intuitive eating. So I would eat until I was full. I'd have big piles of food, right? And I would eat until I was full and then eat a little bit past it. And that's a natural way that you can easily bulk. And part of this comes down to actually starting to ignore that signal for hunger, right? You start to ignore it. You start to ignore it, and your stomach actually, I don't know if this is actually science, but maybe your stomach starts to expand because you're used to eating a lot. You're used to bulking. And so you just learn to ignore that kind of fullness signal. Oh yeah, you feel full. It's like, just eat a little bit more. Oh yeah, bro, I gotta work harder. I gotta bulk more. I gotta gain some weight. So I'm just I'll just eat some more. And you can turn down that signal. You can learn to train. You're literally training to ignore that signal. You know what I mean? So the next level above that is tracking. And so this will work out a lot for, a lot of us numbers guy, a lot of us more nerdy Asian guys, right? We like to deal with more with numbers. You probably play video games where you like to see the number go up. I'm level 15 instead of level 14, right? And we can start to use that and start to track our lifts, our performance. How much weight are we pushing? How many sets are we doing? How much are we actually eating as well? Starting to weigh your food. Weighing your food is really a big game changer as well, because it starts to build intuition as well. Because weighing your food and tracking your macros, that will reveal the truth of the universe, right? That will reveal how much you're actually eating. And because if you're really struggling with this, if you try intuitive eating, if you try it and you just try and bulk up a little bit more, and you're still not seeing any progress, you need to start tracking. Truly tracking your calories, macros, everything, protein. Start to track everything and you'll see, oh shit, I'm literally not eating enough. That's literally it, right? You'll see the number and you'll see that it's just not enough. You'll see that it's literally not enough. And so that will help to reveal the true raw facts of the world, where you'll see that actually you're not eating enough. But also just seeing some progress in the rest of your gym. So seeing some progress photos, tracking your own weights, tracking the weights that you lift. Those will help to see whether you're on track, whether you are actually bulking, whether you are actually gaining any muscle. Because it's very easy for yourself to deceive yourself, for your brain to think that, you're not making any progress at all. Oh yeah, nothing's happened. Oh yeah, I look the same, right? Even though you actually have made progress, right? So that might be part of the psychology. A lot of this stuff is psychology. Is to start to do it in a more analytical way, in a more facts-based way, in a way and also using psychology to trick yourself into eating more food. So those are part of the tricks that I have used personally to gain over 25 kgs, most of it being muscle. So just remember that intuitive eating past failure, and also if you're really struggling, start to track, because that will start to create some intuition that will help you be able to think, oh yeah, that's like 200 grams of chicken, that's like 50 grams of protein approximately, right? That will really help you out, especially if you're like a skinny Asian kid. I remember back then I didn't really know about this. I didn't really trust a lot of the fitness influencers because they would recommend sugary shit and they would recommend carb loading and that kind of stuff. And I tried it, sure, but I always felt like carb loading would just make me so bloated. It didn't really feel like it felt very good, right? I wish I had some of this advice as well, especially when I would think that I didn't want to get too big. I didn't want to gain too much muscle. I wish I knew this, and I want to create a course. And I'm going to create a course, especially for you skinny Asian guys. Hopefully it's there in the top link in the description below. Hopefully it's there by the time you see this, probably. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.